So are you ready to prosper? Yeah, is it time? Is it finally time? Yes, right? Because we all want to prosper, and many of us are already prospering, and many of us are aware of our prosperity, and many of us want more of our prosperity to come forth in our lives and our world. So today we're starting a new series, How to Prosper with Bigger Picture Living. So let's just lay the groundwork a little bit for prosperity and remind ourselves that prosperity is not just money and possessions as the culture would maybe have us think, but it's not that those things aren't part of prosperity. They absolutely are. And so much more, right? Prosperity is friends, prosperity is family, prosperity is connection, prosperity is love, prosperity is joy and play and creativity and you name it. What's prosperity for you? Anybody have any other ideas? Food. Did somebody say food? Food, absolutely. Nature, beauty. What was it somebody said? Time. Prosperity is time. Oh, I like that. Yeah, a place where a lot of us get hooked into a lack idea. Yeah, so all of these things open up to us as we begin to look at kind of the key pieces along the way and widen our view, which is what we're all about today, widening our view. And we widen our view, we prosper when we align with Spirit. We know this so well, don't we? We know it intellectually really well. And sometimes we know it in an embodied way and we experience it. And every time we experience it and get a taste of it, then we want more, which is kind of a part of that abundance impulse that is beneath it all. So we're opening up to that bigger picture. And when we align with Spirit, we recognize how does Spirit view, but from a very big picture, right? There's a very big picture that rules the universe, as we were just singing about, this idea of how it could be, how we could envision it to be when we are walking with, aligning with our Spirit, our truth. So we want to lift our gaze from the small picture, from the small way of being, into the wider view. Deepak Chopra talks about this in terms of pure potentiality. It's the first law of 7 in his classic book from the 90s, The 7 Laws of Spiritual Success, which are really laws of prosperity, laws of life. And the first one, this law of pure potentiality. The way that law is stated is that we are beneath our roles, our identities, our ways of showing up in the world, our relationships, our titles, is an infinite, unbounded truth of who we are. We can feel into that sometimes, can't you? I hope so. And when we tap it, when we open to it, it's a game changer. Everything becomes more fluid. Everything becomes a wider view. Everything becomes more possible. And so pure potentiality is that creative, unbounded space that we are in truth, and that we begin to recognize is beneath it all, is really what we want to be running our lives, what we want to be living from, standing on. So, and everything takes form out of that field of pure potentiality. That co-creative process springs forth from that place. So it's not just a philosophy, it's the real deal, right? This is really how it works. Deepak himself talks about an example of this really early on when he was a young medical student. And he was trying to decide between traditional medicine, but his heart was kind of calling him toward more holistic health. And so it was like, which direction do I go? And so luckily he had a practice at that time, and so he went into the silence to see what kinds of instruction he might be given, and he had a vision. And the vision showed a bridge between science and spirituality. That vision has influenced millions of people. And your vision, little may you know, influences millions of people too. The visions that we hold for our lives, the visions that we catch, the visions that we open to as we align more with Spirit, as we widen our view in a really intentional kind of way, the visions come. The vision may seem small, But don't be deluded by that, because it might just be a door opening. Sometimes Spirit doesn't show us the whole revelation because we'd go running. And so instead we get one step, one little revolution, sure, or revelation, either one. And we can step in, step through, put our toe in, see how it feels, and move from that space. It comes from within out. A lot of times when we talk about prosperity, we tend to focus like we do culturally, where we just look out, right? I look out and I want that, and I want to bring that in. But really the vision is here. The vision is inside. And it's that vision that comes from the inside that then allows it to grow out of, to become, to take form out of that field of pure potentiality that we are dwelling in, that we are beginning to see as we deliberately look. So that field of pure potentiality is not abstract. That's the thing for us to know, to recognize that it can be life-changing, world-changing, that it can take form and shape in many different ways. You can enter the field with a specific desire in your heart and give it over to Spirit to say, this is what I'm longing for. This is what I'm wanting. Or you can just open yourself up and say, Spirit, what do you have in mind for me? What's next for me? Show me a vision. Give me a visual, or give me a nudge, or a sensation, whatever it is. However, all of us perceive in different ways, and some of us more one way or another. So, if you're not a really visual person, maybe vision, it needs to be kind of a widened view for you, a widened definition for you, because it can include sensation, listening, hearing, all these clairaudience, all the different ways. These, right? Clairsentience, all those different ways of perceiving, of opening, of allowing, of connecting and communicating. So often in life we get entranced by the smaller picture. Do you ever feel entranced by the smaller picture? I mean, like, it's all about to-dos and paying bills and managing problems and all the stuff of the physical life. And these things are practical. I'm not saying we shouldn't do those things, or those things can't even be infused with a little more light, a little more play, a little more enjoyment. But it's just that when we spend most of our time there, when we hang out most of the time in the small picture, in the limitation of physicality, it's there that we sort of deaden the spirit, or we lose sight of it. It begins to kind of float away. Big picture, dreams, visions, I know nothing of that. I have to pay my bills. Anybody get into that kind of space ever? Yeah, a lot of us, right? And we put ourselves in these little boxes, and it feels constricting. Life isn't fun in that box. At least it's not fun for me. I don't know about you. And so when we notice that we're doing that to ourselves, that we're feeling, and a lot of times we'll tell ourselves, oh no, it's not me doing it to me. It's the world. It's my partner. It's my job. It's my boss. It's, they are putting the pressure on. They are putting the squeeze on. Well, we know in our teachings, you have more power than that. You're not just batted around by the winds of life and other people's whims, right? That you have this magnificent, beautiful, powerful spirit that is just aching to burst out of those walls that we've put it in. That doesn't want to be boxed in. That doesn't want to ever feel like a square peg in a round hole. Because it's not the truth of who you are. And so you can move through life in difficult times when you are concerned about paying the bills, or you are concerned about the diagnosis you or someone you love has just received. Those things are a part of life. They're part of the grist for the mill, right? They're the thing that helps us smooth the rock of our being and allow us to glide through life a little bit easier. Because Spirit is there for us, because we have not lost the view, because our peripheral vision remains open. We can see ahead of us. We can see from a bird's eye view our own lives. We can see side to side and even behind, because spiritual vision is not limited in any way. It's a full circle in all directions. And that's what we want to open to. That's where we want to allow ourselves to see and move through life. in that kind of visionary way. Carl Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. He says, who looks outside dreams, but who looks inside envisions? Think about all these terms we use: envision, insight. They keep telling us it's inside, right? It's the inside looking out. It's your heart looking out in the world. It's the spiritual eyes from within. It's that first eye that opens to the power of imagination. It's the opening of the crown where the light comes in and through and imbues our whole being, like the song, "Pour Yourself in Me." It's the light that comes through the soles of your feet as you walk upon the earth. But a lot of times when we're walking about, we're just in that small, contained viewpoint of who we are. And we think, well, this is it. The boundary of me. The end of me is my foot. There's nothing going on between me and the earth. There's nothing happening up above. There's nothing happening here and here until we widen our view. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is amazing. Light and love is flushing through my system all the time, carrying away the stuff I don't need. That doesn't have to be an arduous process of letting go, of unburdening myself. You just say, Spirit, help me. And open ourselves up and look with spiritual eyes, with soft focus, and everything shifts. Do you know what I'm saying? You've been here before, right? You shift into those softer places. You shift into those flowy places and you go, man, my life is going really well. Do you ever have those moments where it's like everything seems to be lining up and then, something drops off. Something else drops off. And something else, when the third one drops off, it's all over. Now it's like, whoop, back in the box, because that feels like our safe space. It's like if you have an animal or you've just brought a cat or a dog in the home and they like to go in their little crate, or our dog when we first got her, she'd always go to her bed. It's like she'd come and wander around the house and then she'd whoop, right back to her bed. It's like safe space. Nothing wrong with having a safe space. Just be conscious of what you're doing. Just be conscious of it and don't let it box you in. There's nothing wrong with going back to home base and kind of regrouping, right? And feel that sense of sanctuary and, okay, this is reminding myself of whom I am again, and then I'll open my front door and I'll go back out into the world, right? And so it's this practice that we're up to here, opening, widening our view into a bigger vision. Prosperity begins and endures with inner awakening. That's what Carl Jung was saying there, right? Carl Jung, many of you know about Carl Jung, yes? What do we call him? Transpersonal psychologist? I'm looking at Brenly. Isn't that what he is? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I think it's transpersonal, but depth psychology, thank you. So that really, for us in Unity and New Thought, that's always a really nice coupling because the psychology is the practical aspects of spirituality. That's why when my mom first came to Unity, we were driving home and I said, how'd you like it? She's like, it was like a psychology class. And I said, well, that's not such a bad thing, is it? Because it gives you, anyway. Not going to convince some people. And no need, right? Because we live our message, as Gandhi says, my life is my message. How I embody myself, how I carry myself, how I bring forth the love and the light everywhere I go, that is the message. No words needed, really. It's how we're being. And when we be in that way, we feel the joy and the divine flow of life. We're living in the field of pure potentiality. And from that place, creating the kinds of things we want to contribute to the world and experience in our own lives. That's prosperity. That's real prosperity. That's the prosperity from which all other prosperity flows. So Proverbs, known as the book of wisdom, says, where there is no vision, the people perish. You've heard that before, probably. Where there is no vision, the people perish. So we want a vision. We want to open to the vision. We want to hear or see what Spirit is showing us or telling us, right? Of what is next for us, or what is it that I am to open to in my beingness. in my experience of day-to-day life, whatever it may be. Vision is vital for life. Because when we have vision, we feel generally more hopeful, right? When we have vision, we step into more of that place that Emily Dickinson said, I dwell in possibility. When we have vision, we move into a place of gratitude. We move into a place of anything is possible. Problems and pain become very small because we have opened into a wider view, a wider field. In the box, pain is intense, right? It's not so intense when we're in the wider field. It's there, maybe, but not that big of a deal because we have other tools. We have other things we're seeing. We have other things that are engaging our attention. When we are flowing with spirit, it's fun. And so we're tuned in, and we're tapped in, and we're turned on to what that is moving through our lives, and with a curiosity of where will it go next? That's the fun of this. It's like, think about children. They've got this dialed in, right? They know how to play. They know how to create. They know how to be in a place of joy. They know how to be in the timeless, wondrous space of creating in a field of pure potentiality. My nephew, Jack, used to run when he was little, side to side like this. And we were sure that there was somebody right in front of him that was running and mirroring, and he looked so joyful. It was just, he would just back and forth like that for a long period of time. And then he'd just go play and do something else. And it was like, wow, who just came in? Because he clearly was like dancing in this kind of mirrored, experience. And the truth is that spirit is always there mirroring us, always there to play with us, always available for us to just say, hey, come on, open the door, open the window to it, and allow it to pour itself in you and arise from within you. Because we know it's both places, right? It comes from this place within us and the allness. And both, we want to open the windows and the doors for all of it, right? Don't limit it one way or another. Let it all infuse us. So consider for a moment, when you think about vision and the possibility of vision, Walt Disney. Like magical kingdom, for sure, that he created. But also just, there's probably, you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody, I would guess, in the entire world that had not either heard of Walt Disney, Disney World, Disneyland, or Mickey Mouse. Probably Mickey Mouse being maybe the top of the list. And it all started with him sketching a mouse on a train. Just a little side note, he was going to name it Mortimer, and his mother and his wife said, no, how about Mickey? So she gets some credit here too. But when it came time to create Disney World, he had a vision that it would be in Florida, on swampland. And people said he was nuts. They said, how in the world? No, you're not going to be able to build this place on swampland. And it's going to be way too expensive. And the project is going to be impossibly long and complicated. No, Walt. And he said, yes, everyone, because I have a vision. And he didn't waver from his vision, so his vision became contagious. Do you think he got it from envisioning, from insight? I bet you. It didn't just come through his mind and one day he drew up the plans. No. It comes through that inspiration. It comes from that ability to open ourselves up and to say, what else is here? What's the wider view in the field of pure potentiality? And then Spirit goes, here, let me deliver to you something, and go, oh, wait, what? Could that be? Yes, it could, because it came straight from Spirit. And that's the kind of person, someone like Disney, who runs with it, who says yes to it, who doesn't waver from it, and then it becomes contagious. When Disney World was indeed built, some of you, how many of you have been to Disney World in Florida? Oh, a lot of you. And how many have been to Disneyland in California? Oh, the whole room. I love it. Yes, right? So when Disney World was finally, dedicated, and all the park folks were there, and they were talking about at the opening, talking about all these wonderful things, and somebody says, oh, it's such a shame that Walt isn't here to see it. And another colleague said, oh, no, He saw it, otherwise it wouldn't be here. And isn't that the truth? That's when the real excitement happens, is in the inception of the idea, when the seed breaks through, when we start to see, oh, could it be? And start to feel that enthusiasm, that excitement, that knowing, that something. I love the sign in sign language, and Terry, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is it growth? Growth, yeah, growth. Isn't that lovely? So you just see that seed coming and then the vision. And when it's here, we might be like, oh, I don't know. But then, oh, maybe. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wow! Right? That's what your vision is. That's what's happening inside of you. So just stick with it. Just be with it. Just allow it, see it, nurture it, love it into being. Vision is spiritual sight. And we prosper when we live and we see inwardly, even before it shows up in the outer world. Sometimes something is beyond our mental framework. It's something that we can't, it's never been created before, so we don't know. I once had a dream about, I think, snowboards, but I'd never heard of a snowboard before. And I think it was like, I asked somebody who snowboards, like, when were those invented? Because I think I had a dream around that time. I've never snowboarded. But I was snowboarding in my dream. I was like coming over mountains and coming down through snow on what I thought was a surfboard. And so it's like things like that come out of the dream world, right? You've had these experiences where something that you don't yet have a frame of reference for comes. You don't even maybe sometimes know to put it into the physical realm of possibility. You just think, oh, something, I saw something. And so that's kind of what can happen. And actually in our history did happen, according to the reports, that went about the time that the Europeans were exploring, they would come over to the Americas on these enormous ships. And the reports say that the native peoples, some of them, didn't have a frame of reference for a ship that big. Maybe a canoe, but not a ship that big. And so they couldn't see them. I mean, it's astounding to think about, right? The ships are right in front of you, but I can't see them because I have no frame of reference. My outer eyes can't make sense of that thing, so I can't even see it. Wow. And then what happened was they started to notice ripples in the water. They started to notice a little troubling of the water, a little movement. Maybe they could even hear some of the sounds of the lapping water. And then it was like, oh, something is here. And then it started to come into view. Isn't that how it happens? Right out of the field of pure potentiality. You have a feeling. You have a sense. You have a knowing. You have a sort of, I don't know, an inner seeing, an inner hearing, but it's not quite clear yet. And then it begins to come into view. And maybe it's not sharply in view, which is probably good because then we might put it in a box. But instead, we just let it, sort of unfold in that kind of fuzzy, soft, focusy, kind of gray time between sleeping and waking sort of space, liminal space. And then it comes to be, whatever it may be for you. Would you like to see what might be present for you? You want to take a moment and visualize together? If you'd like to close your outer eyes or maybe just have a soft focus in front of you, and a soft focus meaning just kind of gaze like a foot or two in front of you and just try to soften your view, or if you prefer, just close your eyes completely. And invite you to start to put your attention on the first eye, or some call it the third eye. It's that place between your eyebrows. You might even want to touch it just for a minute to kind of activate that space. Just imagine you're opening up that eye And you're seeing with your spiritual vision through it. And out through that eye, you see your life as a wide, vast ocean. There's a horizon in the distance, some waves softly rolling in. And you might start to notice some ripples on the water. Maybe you see or hear the water moving a little differently. Perhaps you feel the presence of something big. It's moving toward you. Maybe you can even make out some fuzzy shapes without efforting. Can't necessarily see all of what's coming, yet you're realizing there's bigger vessels on the ocean of your life than you thought possible. And if it's a ship or something else, just noticing what it is, carrying your good toward the shore of your life. Where you stand, maybe feeling even the sand beneath your feet, the water around your ankles. My ship is literally coming in. Or something else. Receive it. See what's here. What's on board. There may be a gift for you. Perhaps you put your hands out to receive it. What you are seeing now is constantly happening in your life. Vessels of good floating on the ocean of your life. Some coming directly to you, some out near the horizon. And all you have to do is receive them, allow them, see them with your spiritual eyes when you're ready. You're using your power of imagination right now. You're opening to your field of pure potentiality right now. In a minute's time, you have opened to all that is here all the time, coming to you, floating by, ships full of good, your prosperity. So when you're ready, just give thanks to who or whatever is involved in having brought this to you. And then open your outer eyes in your own time. Now think about how you just looked from the inside out. and how we are wired as human beings and taught as human beings to walk around the world looking from the outside in, looking with our eyes for shape and color to make sense of the physicality, to tell a story about with our minds. That's one way of seeing in the world. It's an important way, and it can be quite limiting with physical boundaries. But the way that you just saw is the way that Spirit has wired you to be able to see. Expansive possibilities, ships coming in all the time that we would miss if we don't ever look from the inside out. And that's the invitation, to look from the inside out so we'll catch the vision, so that we'll see the good, and we'll let it move us forward to whatever next steps are a part of that for us. Using our first eye awakens the innate power of imagination, as some of you might have just experienced. And so just putting a little attention here every so often, maybe during your silent time each day, and just kind of checking in and seeing, as I look from this wider view, what do I see? Or maybe you want to look from the heart. There's different ways you can do that. Have you ever experienced sensations in this area of your first eye? Anybody ever experienced that? Yeah, I see some nods. So I remember when I started first feeling like pressure there, and Sonia Choquette, I don't know if anybody knows her, she's a intuitive, she's written a lot of books, and she was living in Chicago, and so was I, and so I ran up to her and said, "What's happening? I'm feeling all this pressure right here. What's going on, Sonia?" And she said, just relax. It's probably just trying to open, and so we have these energy centers where we know of our 12 powers, the 7 chakras off, and those overlay with one another. We have these portals to the divine. We're wired with this. We come in with this available to us, these big hearts, this first eye, this crown, all these spaces in our being that as we it doesn't take a lot, don't make it complicated. This is what we do. We make it complicated and then we don't do it. Just like simplify, right? Okay, I'm going to sit for 1 minute today. And today I'm going to focus just on my third eye. And I'm just going to kind of look through my third eye and be curious about my third eye and notice the sensations. And pretty soon it's open. That portal is open. No need to close it down again. And the light is streaming in and the light is streaming out. And we can see in a different way, in a bigger way. And everything looks different. It's softer. It's more possible. It's a stance that we start to take, right? In our smaller picture lives, we're like this, right? Busy doing whatever it is. We're on our computers. We're talking to people. We're leaning in. We're driving. You know this posture-wise, right? And then all of a sudden, for spirit, it doesn't have to be something hard and difficult. Let's not put it in that box. Instead, it's just a, wow, there I am. There it is. There you are. All I had to do was stand up straight, and I can see differently. I can perceive differently. I feel different. I'm opening up those portals to light and to love, and I can see and experience and feel in a whole different way. Guess what? Where we are? Pure potentiality. At the shore of our ocean of our life, watching suddenly the ships come in. That's prosperity in action, and it is far, far easier than we think. So, and still, we're always going to have these things that come along, right? They get in our way, that make it difficult for us. So whatever that is, those places, those life challenges that come and start to kind of shrink our vision, we just begin to become aware of what we're doing, how I'm contracting, how I'm putting myself in a box, how I'm starting to feel the pressure, how I'm starting to think, ain't it awful? All the things that we're doing, right? Starting to narrow my view. I'm starting to hunch in, all those things that we do. I'm tense up. Just notice what your body's doing, because the body, as the title of the book says, holds the score. The body knows the truth. There's wisdom in the body. So if we start to, I'm relaxing, I'm opening, I'm allowing, I'm seeing again. the answers come to those difficult situations. The vision is always there. You all probably are familiar with Oprah Winfrey. You know, she lived in extreme poverty growing up. So extreme that sometimes she wore dresses made out of potato sacks. And yet, that woman had vision. She could envision. She could open and play in the field of pure potentiality in the midst of life circumstances that told her completely otherwise. And she said later, create the highest, grandest vision possible for your life because you become what you believe. I mean, she's done a few things. So it's that, right? That knowing that when we know that other human beings have broken through these veils, that other human beings have gotten out of smaller picture views, that other human beings show us the way to expand our vision, to open our breath, to move and have our being and spirit, then suddenly we know what it feels like to live a prosperous life. And that prosperity, again, can come in various ways. It's not just about being rich and famous, although some of us would like that too. So our task is not to manufacture prosperity. It's to allow it to unfold. And that's how spirit works. It unfolds. And all we got to do is look, open, allow. That first eye is such a key space in our beings. It's such a key part. You know, Jesus knew about this secret portal. He talked about this in Matthew. He said the lamp of the body is the eye of the body. Let your eye be single, he said. Let your eye be single, and your whole body will be full of light. Let your eye be single and your whole body will be full of light. What is he saying? Look from the inside out. Look from the portal your body comes wired with. And tap into that power of infinite imagination. And your whole body will be flooded with light. Your whole life will be flooded with light, and life, and love, and all the good. The acorn is another example, you know, a favorite metaphor for prosperity, that the acorn, the little tiny acorn, has no idea that inside it is the potential of a mighty oak. Just like some of us forget or don't know or haven't yet known or haven't yet awakened to the idea that in us is a magnificent divine being. Is a being that can live and move and have its being and co-create and experience and be in the flow of prosperity in all the ways we might name and have yet to even think about. So next time you see an acorn, think, hey, buddy, you're a lot more than an acorn. Do you know that? Because you're talking to yourself. Not only can you be a mighty oak, but you can be in time an entire forest of oaks. A big valley of oaks. Amazing, really, isn't it? You are the seed, and the potential is there for you to grow into your vision. So how do we expand? The silence, certainly. A couple minutes of silence a day, really all you need. To start stirring the pot, to start widening your view, to start opening these energy centers of your being and living in that light that pours through all the time. Power up your imagination by practicing your inner vision, just like we did together in the visualization, beginning to put some attention here to start to open up that portal for light to stream forth and light to come in. And ideas and insight comes with that. Divine ideas, divine light. Release your attachment. You know, don't worry so much about how it's supposed to happen. Spirit will guide you, will orchestrate the process, will give you the next step and the next step if you just let go and allow and look and see and recognize and say yes, and then do yes, move your feet. That's faith in action. But, you don't have to take it all on at once. Just let this be a dance. Let it be fun. Be like a child. Be like my nephew Jack, just playing with spirit, Just seeing, oh, will it follow me here? How about here? How about if I run really fast? No, I can't lose it. And who would ever want to? Because that is what is helping us at all times to see greater things, to open ourselves to receive under the shores of our life those enormous vessels of prosperity that are coming in all the time. All the time. All the time you've got good coming to you. But if you're just looking with this little myopic, physical only, gotta do, lean in my box, you'll never see it. So prosperity is not clinging to what's physically present, but opening to what is spiritually present and letting that flow into our physical experience. That's the key. Let's turn on the lamps of our bodies. Let's open up to receive and to give light. How about we close with a prayer and an affirmation? And if you want to close your eyes just for a moment and just experience a little more light, and collectively we open here. We open our arms, we open our inner eye, we open our hearts and our bodies just to know the good is here. The good is here. It's already here. Your ships are coming in. Your good is available to you. And so as you open your eyes now, you receive that inner eye, that vision, all portals, welcoming the divine, knowing the truth that we are made of a love that never ends, that we are open to a light that streams forth, that guides our path, that lightens our load, that allows us to see the next step and the next step and the next step. Your path is opening. It is becoming clearer. Your prosperity is rushing in like a river. And you just open to receive it, to allow it, to say yes to it, to say, Spirit, carry me, show me. Bring me to the banks of the river, to the pathway I am meant to walk, or let me swim in the goodness when I need to just cleanse myself of any heaviness or grief or small-mindedness or limitation. Wash it away and then bring me up on shore when the time is right, and let me be on solid ground and guide my foot every step of the way. Allow me to be living and moving and having my being in the spirit that I have come here to be. Open the portals of my body that is here to be a true temple of you on earth. I have come here to be a temple of you on earth. And so I open my crown to receive the rush of light directly from my source. And I open the first eye to let that light in and out, and open to the power of imagination that says yes to all the good that is flowing to me now, that I can see now. Thank you, God, for opening up my heart to receive love, to give love, to be in the dance of love, to heal this planet. I am so big now. Can you feel how big you are? Can you feel the truth of who you are, who you have come here to be? It is not small. It is not limited. It is not heavy or burdened or full of suffering or pain. Yes, that will be on the journey, but there's not much room for it now, because you are standing in your magnificence, supported by Mother Earth 100%, and you are a flowing light being, walking this earth with ease and with grace and with power and with truth and with vision. Thank you, God, for the vision of the truth of who we are. And so it truly is. Let's affirm together, shall we? I see my life through a bigger spiritual lens. Divine light illuminates my prosperous path, and that is the truth. So it is.